I have been wanting to film this video for a while. I was looking on YouTube and I really couldn't find any uh, sort of non-partisan video about Jewish prayer books, Siddurim. Um, I really wanted to find a video that just covers, a few different prayer books that you can buy and what each one contains and what the pros and cons of each brand are and things like that. But I couldn't find a video that wasn't like made by one of the manufacturers. You know what I mean? Like you can find maybe one or two videos by like Art Scroll that'll tell you like about their products, but I wanted a video that was by a consumer who just, happened to have a few different ones and wanted to show people what the differences were. So that's what this video is. I hope that people find it helpful. Also, I am going to be checking on the comments every once in a while, so if for some reason you're here to be anti-Semitic, I will like remove those comments. I don't expect it to actually go anywhere. I doubt anyone will click on this video without being interested in Jewish prayer books, but on the off chance that it breaches containment, so to speak, on the off chance that some annoying people find this video, please note that I will be checking the comments. So, be careful. Don't don't say anything you wouldn't want your mother hearing. The first book that I want to talk about is this. This is the Petach Libi, which is a Siddur. I'm bad at pronouncing things every time I turn on a camera. For some reason, I have a lot of trouble speaking correctly and pronouncing things well once the camera is on. So I'm sorry about that. So yeah, this is a siddur that was made by one of my local synagogues. It's the siddur that is made by Kol Zedek. I won't mention where that is because, I live in the area and I don't really want to fully dox myself. But if you're interested, you can look up Kol Zedek and you can find out where it is about. Yeah, this is a really cool, well-made book. You can see even just by the end pages that they've put a lot of energy and work into making this book really nice. So even not talking about the contents yet, I will say that this is worth the price, and I believe it's a very reasonable price for what they're selling it for. I found mine on Ayin Press, I believe. So yeah, let's flip through a few pages here, just so you can get an idea of what it's like. I will mention that this book does do a really good job of being very progressive. So if you're not interested in the kind of book that would have a land acknowledgement and be like, yeah, we're operating on L'nai Lenape land, depending on your politics, that might not be something you're interested in, but I'm really grateful for that personally. But yeah, so I think this is a really good festival. What does it say? Siddur for Shabbat and festival mornings. So it's not a full siddur. You can't find everything in it. And I will say most siddurim that I've found are not full, meaning that there are some things that they've taken out because you don't use them all that often. And then you'll get like a separate smaller siddur for like those specific things. So yeah, this is just for Shabbat and festival mornings. So it's not, for instance, an everyday prayer book. There are everyday prayer books, and I have a few of those. But yeah, it does sort of make sense to have multiple prayer books, especially if they don't all cover the same thing. And I will say I have been collecting them because I am interested in how they differ. So I'm a bit of a fringe case because I don't actually like I don't actually just buy them for my own purposes. I also buy them because I'm interested in what they have to say and how they differ and comparing and contrasting them, things like that. So I'm not going to show you every page because obviously that would be bad for them. I think technically that would be illegal because I'd be showing you everything in the book and then you would be able to access everything in the book for free. And so that would be like copyright infringement. So I'm not going to show you every page for that reason. But I will sort of show you a few select pages to show you like what the typography looks like how big the words are on the page, how they look in terms of my hand, so that you can get a sense of the size of everything. And they do have a few places that have this nice black and white artwork, which I really like. I think it's very pretty, but you know, depending on what you want from your siddur, you might not. It also has this great page that shows you how to pronounce the Hebrew, in case you're not familiar, which I think is really helpful. Let's see, is there anything interesting on this page? No, those are the end pages. Okay. So yeah, if you're interested in very progressive, new age type of Siddurim, the type that would do land acknowledgement for the fact that we are living on native land that is not being owned and operated by natives, that kind of thing. But yeah, so this is a really cool book. I will also say the actual outside of it feels like canvas or some sort of coated like some sort of fabric that's been coated in something. Like it's textured in a really nice way. It feels very sturdy. Like whatever printing, whatever press they used, like whatever company that makes books, whatever publishing company they used to like actually physically produce this book, they did a really good job, and I think it's very high quality. So that's that one. The next two I'm going to talk about are very similar. They're both very small as well. I believe they were, yeah, these two I believe were advertised as being 3 by 4 inches, which if I get a ruler, okay, well, I know I saw my ruler earlier today, and yet I have no idea where it went. So I won't be able to show you like literally how big these are. I do remember them being a little bit bigger than 3 by 4. Yeah, I'm trying to measure with my hand because I know that from here to here on my hand is exactly 6 inches. So I think it's about 3 by 4. I think it's more like 3.5 or 3 3/4 this way. But you know, it's very small. These two, the only real difference in the text is the nusach that I chose for each. You can choose, I think, between 3 or 4 different nusach with this company for most of their publications. Not every siddur that they make comes in every nusach, but I think the newer editions, they still have stock of every nusach that you might want. I believe nusach is the right word. I believe that that's like the terminology for which, I can't think of the word. But yeah, there are different schools of thought, let's say, for like which prayers are essential for a siddur. And depending upon which congregation you're a part of, and depending upon, you know, which type of people that congregation services. Like, you know, if you are at a synagogue that mostly does Ashkenaz Nusach, then that's probably because their entire congregation, or at least most of the congregation, is Ashkenazi. So there's Ashkenaz for Ashkenazi, there's Sephard, which I believe is close to modern Israeli pronunciation, because that's another complicated thing, is that if if they use like in what's the word, transliteration, if they use transliteration for the Hebrew, then depending upon which way you pronounce the Hebrew, the Nusach will have it spelled differently in the transliteration. So in Ashkenazi transliteration, it'll be very different from like Sephard transliteration, because you really do pronounce the Hebrew differently if you come from an Ashkenazi background versus a Sephardic or Mizrahi or Israeli background. I didn't know all this until relatively recently, and I still find it a little confusing, but yeah. I've talked a lot about the idea behind these books without actually opening, so I'm sorry about that. It has some really tiny letters there. I don't know if you can read those. That's an ayin, a yod, and a mem. And I forget what that stands for. I don't know, guys. I bought these books mostly because I wanted a small siddur. And I knew that I was not going to get one that had transliteration or translation in it that was this small. So I compromised and got these ones, which unfortunately for me are completely in Hebrew, which isn't a huge problem, but it is, let's say, a stepping stone. It is something for me to learn more and more about. And I do think the print quality is really good in these, which is very important when you're reading, you know, type that is this small. Like, you can see that, like, in comparison with my nails, this is very small type. So as you saw earlier, some pages have bigger type, but some have really small type, and it's really dense. So I would not suggest this for someone who has trouble with Hebrew or isn't like dedicated to learning the Hebrew, because it is all Hebrew and it is very small type. So I do think that this is really for an Israeli audience, or someone who knows Hebrew really well, at least. But that is not yet me. So what I've done with this one, actually, is this is the Ashkenazi Nusach. I've actually put tabs in here for the different prayers that I know, so that I can find them when I need to see them. So this is the Shema. And then we've got, you know, the classic Shabbat prayer over here. Here is Havdalah, which I was very glad to find in this, because some Siddur don't have the Havdalah prayer, which I find very frustrating. I'll go into that later, but this one does have Havdalah. And then back here, there should be, where to go? Yeah, down here is the Hanukkah lighting the candles prayer. Yeah, this is a really good, well-made siddur for the price, I think. I will note that both of these are soft cover, so they do feel, you know, flexible, not super flexible. I wouldn't want to bend them out of shape. So, you know, they're designed to be lightweight pocket siddur. They're not like astoundingly beautifully made. They're not leather bound. I believe each one of these was like under $20 or $25 each. So, you know, they're good for the price. They're not like the most beautiful thing you'll ever lay your hands on, but they are definitely worth the price. But But yeah, I am glad to have them. I really like them, but I need to learn Hebrew better, is what we're learning, because I know this says Siddur. I forget what that means and what it says. I mean, et ratzon, I can read it, but I forget what that means. So, and here's the back in case you were curious. And the actual pages are silver gilded on the edges. They've got silver edging. So yeah, those are those. The next set of Siddurim that I have, and they don't come in a set. I shouldn't call them that. I bought them separately, but I think of them as a set because they're all from the same manufacturer, and I wanted to know what the differences were. So I bought 3 of them. Now, this was before I got interested in the different nusach and how the nusach differs. So all 3 of these, sorry, I'm trying to not have everything fall off my table, but also be in frame. So all 3 of these are Ashkenazic nusach. I think I will start with the transliterated one. Honestly, it's the one I use the most because my Hebrew is that bad. So transliterated, linear. I'm not sure what linear means in this context, but it is transliterated, so you can see not just the Hebrew, but also how to pronounce the Hebrew using, like, quote unquote English letters. I mean, they're not English, right? It's is it the Roman alphabet, or does it go back even further than that? I forget. Latin alphabet, something. But yeah, so if you're an English speaker and you don't know Hebrew, but you would like to follow along with other people and you want to know how to pronounce things, I would definitely recommend a transliterated Siddur. I will, however, point out that this does not have English translations, which is one of the reasons why I got multiple, is because I wanted one with translations. Hold on. I wanted one with translations, and I also wanted one with transliteration, where you learn to pronounce things. Wait, where's the... I know somewhere in here there's a... Here it is, table of contents. Also, this is something that is obvious to me now, but when I was first learning about Judaism back when I was a child, this was not obvious to me. Because it has Hebrew in it, these books are done from right to left. So this is the front, and you open it like this, and this is like the first few pages. And so everything gets done from right to left. You turn the pages in this direction to go to the next page. I know that's probably really obvious to most of you watching, but I did want to mention it because it genuinely confused me the first time I went to a synagogue. People would show me what page of the prayer book we were on, and I would follow along during that page, and then I'd turn to the next page in the opposite direction that you're supposed to, because I didn't know. I didn't know that in terms of the way that the text is placed, it's actually backwards to the way that English speakers do it. So that confused me for a little while, and I just wanted to mention it in case you're new to this and you had no idea. So yeah, so here is the table of contents. It is very dense. It has a lot of different things. I should get this little wire out of the way. Sorry about that. That's my filming setup. Yeah, so here's the table of contents. It is covering... Oh, okay, it's a different one than I was thinking of. It is covering just these 2 pages. This is the entire table of contents. This is everything the book contains. Yeah, in case you were curious what all the prayers are in here, you can, pause the video here to read it all. I will also say that there are a lot of these little markings that I put with washi tape, like patterned tape that you can buy at stationery stores. They are not... the book does not come with this. Those I added after I bought the book. They are just here for my own understanding. They coordinate with the tabs that I added with the same type of tape so that I can find where each one is easier. But yeah, so all the highlighting and the tabs are added by me. It does not come that way, in case you were worried. Yeah, so because this is the Ashkenazi Nusach, it has Ashkenazi pronunciation here, Modeh ani lefonecha, which is very different from the way Israelis in particular pronounce things. A lot of Jews happen to be Israeli. That's the way things are in the world right now. So I remember one of my Israeli friends, she mentioned she went to a synagogue around where we were living, and she was like, yeah, they pronounced everything so wrong. I was like, that was not Hebrew. And I looked at her like, it's different around here. Like a lot of Jews around here come from an Ashkenazi background. They speak, either they speak Yiddish or their family spoke Yiddish at one point. And so their way of doing things is going to be very different from the Israeli way of doing things. And that includes pronunciation. So yeah, I thought that was funny. Yeah, so this is what the text looks like. Again, good print job. I'd say it's definitely readable. It's not quite as large print as the Petach Lebi, but it is a lot more readable than the little blue books, the little pocket ones. I believe this doesn't have a Havdalah prayer anywhere. I could be wrong, but yeah, it has the bedtime Shema here, but I believe this is the one that doesn't have Havdalah. Is that true? Yeah, it has the Hanukkah prayer, has the bedtime Shema, it has Rosh Chodesh, obviously it has the Amidah, but it does not have Havdalah, which, I mean, it's not essential for everyone, and if you're from an Ashkenazi background, then, like, you probably don't do it, but I like doing it, so yeah, I was a little disappointed that that wasn't in this book. So this is the Safe Edition, art scroll, transliterated linear siddur with the Ashkenazi Nusach. Here, I'll show you the spine so that you can see what that looks like. It says Ashkenaz right there. And yeah, this doesn't have a prayer that I use often, so that's a bit disappointing. I'm still glad I bought this, and it is very useful to me in a lot of ways, but you should note that not every prayer that you might be used to is going to be in every siddur. That's part of the reason I'm making this video, really. This is the next one I have. This is translated, but not transliterated. So it has the meaning of the words in English, but it doesn't tell you how to pronounce them with English spelling. So this is, again, Ashkenaz Nusach. I bought these before I decided I wanted to learn about the differences in Nusach. But the interesting thing about this one, I think, yeah, look at that. It has the Havdalah prayer. I don't know why the other one doesn't, but this one does. It's right here on page 448. And here, I'll show you what the table of contents looks like. And again, all of these little things of tape, colorful tape that I put on here, they don't come with the with the prayer book. So imagine they're not there. I'm sorry if some people find it distracting. I find it very helpful, which is why I did it. And then this has a second, well, technically a third page of the table of contents. It has a lot in it. It's a very full siddur. I believe, yeah, all of these are weekday siddurs. The 3 that I got from Art Scroll are all weekday siddurs. Sorry, Siddurim. I shouldn't call them siddurs. That's not accurate. It's a Hebrew word. I should call them Siddurim. These are jam-packed. They have a lot of stuff in them. And I'll show you what just a random page looks like. I do like that this is interlinearly translated. At first I didn't understand what that meant, and then I actually look at the page and it's pretty obvious. It has the translation under every single word, and so because of that, it actually makes it really easy for you to get an understanding of the words in Hebrew. So if you are having trouble with Hebrew, this is also a very good one to get. It does not help you with pronunciation, but it helps you with understanding the words. So this is sort of like a step up from the last one, which just helps you with pronunciation. And yeah, it's a prayer book. I don't know what else to say. Okay. Yeah, the back of these are all just pretty plain. So that's the second one. And then the third one I got is the women's siddur. I think this one's really nicely done, nicely made. All 3 of these, I will say, very high print quality, very high, like, sturdiness. I don't know how to say that well. I don't know how to articulate that clearly, but like the actual book itself feels very well made, nice and sturdy. Like clearly they have a print manufacturer who does these all the time, does them really well, very well made. Like I'm actually surprised at the quality in terms of the book itself, considering the fact that each of these were about $35. So like I think that's a really great price for the like quality of the actual book itself. Even in just ignoring the contents and everything. I think these are like really well made. And here's the table of contents. As you can see, I really like to annotate and put stickers on all of my Siddurim. Yeah, here is some of the table of contents. I believe it goes down, yeah, it keeps going on like 4 pages. Is it 5 pages? Wait a minute. Yes, 5 pages, sorry. So this has so many different things in here. So many. It's honestly a little intimidating how many prayers for how many different instances there are in this siddur. And then let me just go to a random page. That's not a very clear or, I guess, representative page. Let's try again. There we go. So we've got, on the right, we've got the Hebrew, and on the left, we've got the English translation. So it's not intralinearly translated, so the translation is on a completely separate page from the Hebrew. This means that the translation is also slightly different for a number of reasons, but I won't get into it. You can read about the differences in, like, I think one of these books in the introduction. I'm not sure how much you guys actually care about the translation and how it differs from book to book. But if you are interested, let me know and I can do a separate video on that. So yeah, here's Blessing of the New Month, which I'm really glad to have. I don't think this is in any of my other Siddurim. Here's Havdalah. So glad to have this. Again, there are a few of my Siddurim that don't have this, so I'm glad it's in here. And let's see what else we got. Oh, here we go. Kindling the Hanukkah menorah. And here is one that I thought was interesting. Amelioration of a dream. I was not even familiar with the English word amelioration, but this is a prayer that's in quite a few of the Art Scroll books. I didn't know this was a thing, but here it is. And then we've also got verses for names, which I think is interesting. I do find that it doesn't cover every instance, unfortunately. Even though it has, like, you know, names beginning with this letter and names ending with, you know, all these different letters, all these different letter combinations. It doesn't contain every single letter combination, unfortunately. It contains a lot of common letter variations for verses for names, but it doesn't contain every single possible instance, which is interesting. I didn't know that. I also didn't know that this was a tradition to begin with. I didn't know that you would have a verse that goes along with your name. So that's fascinating. But yeah, oh, I'll show you the spine. And yeah, I think that's about it for this video. If you're at all interested in more videos about my Siddurim collection, if you're interested in other Siddurim that I don't own but you would like to learn more about them before purchasing them, let me know. I am thinking about expanding my collection, even though I clearly don't need any more. I would just love to have more and learn more about what the differences are. So if this video was helpful to you, please comment about it, or at least like the video. You don't have to comment if you don't want to, but please hit like. It helps a lot. Subscribe to me if you're interested in a whole variety of things. I don't usually do Jewish related content, but you know, I do anything I want. So if this video gets a lot of traction, maybe I'll do more Jewish content. Who knows? Yeah. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.